Let me steelman the people who say you just need more discipline. They're not completely wrong. Discipline matters. Consistency matters. Showing up when you don't feel like it matters. Those people have a point. And if you've been telling yourself that discipline is the missing piece, I get why you believe that. It sounds right. It feels logical. But here's where that argument falls completely apart. You have been disciplined. You've started over so many times you've lost count. January 1st, every Monday, after every birthday, after every breakdown, you showed up. You had the discipline to begin again. So if discipline was the real answer, why are you still here watching a video about starting over? The truth is, you're not lazy. You're not broken. You're stuck in a loop that is specifically designed to feel like progress without ever actually being progress. And by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly how that loop works, why it keeps pulling you back in, and the single structural shift that breaks it permanently. Here's the moment that decides everything. It happens about 72 hours into any new attempt. Research from the University College London, published in 2010, found that behavior formation takes an average of 66 days, not 21 days, not 30 days, 66 days. But most people never make it past day 4. Why? Because on day 3 or 4, the initial dopamine rush from starting fades. The novelty is gone. Life interrupts. You miss a session. You eat the wrong thing. You skip the workout. And right there, at that exact moment, you hit a fork in the road. Two paths appear in front of you. One path feels familiar, safe even. One path feels uncomfortable and honestly a little boring. And almost every single time, without even realizing it, you take the wrong one. Not because you're weak, because nobody ever showed you what the right one actually looks like. Path A looks like this. You miss a day, you feel guilty. You tell yourself you'll make up for it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and now you have double the guilt and double the pressure. So you avoid thinking about it entirely. 3 days pass, a week, and then something happens. A Sunday night hits and you feel that familiar fire. That spark. You think, okay, this time is different. You make a new plan. You buy a new notebook. You download a new app. You rearrange your schedule. You feel motivated. You feel ready. You start again. This right here is the trap. Because what you just experienced, that Sunday night fire, that is not motivation returning. That is your brain completing a stress relief cycle. You were uncomfortable with the guilt, so your brain manufactured a feeling of forward momentum to eliminate the discomfort. You didn't solve the problem. You just reset the clock. And here's the brutal part. Every time you restart without building on what came before, you are training your brain that starting over is the solution. So the next time you fall off, your brain already knows the answer. Start over. Get that dopamine hit. Feel the rush of day 1 again. You are not making progress. You are feeding a loop. 3 years from now, on Path A, you will have started over approximately 156 times. That is not an exaggeration. If you restart monthly, that's 36 attempts in 3 years. If you restart weekly, that number climbs past 150, and every single restart will feel justified. Every single one will feel necessary. But here's what compounds over time on Path A. Your identity quietly shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone who achieves things. You start seeing yourself as someone who tries. And trying without finishing, without building, without accumulating starts to feel like your permanent state. The worst version of this is not the person who never tries. The worst version is the person who tries constantly and has nothing to show for it. Because at least someone who never tried hasn't yet disproven their own potential. You have tried, repeatedly. And Path A is slowly convincing you that your potential has a ceiling. That ceiling is a lie. But you'll keep believing it unless you take Path B. Path B starts at the exact same moment, day 3 or 4. The novelty is gone. You missed a session. You feel the pull to reset, but instead of resetting, you do something radically different. You document what happened, not to punish yourself, not to analyze yourself to death. You simply record the moment, what triggered the miss, what you were feeling, what you were thinking, what was actually going on in your life that day. And then you keep going. Not from day 1. From where you are, day 4. Messy, imperfect, interrupted day 4. This is the structural difference between people who build something real and people who stay in the loop forever. They treat their attempts as data instead of failures. They build continuity. They understand that the version of you who quit on day 4 knows something. The version of you who started on day 1 did not know. That knowledge is the asset. Every restart without documentation is like burning down your house and rebuilding it from scratch every single time instead of just fixing the broken window. Path B says fix the window. Build on what's already there. 6 months on Path B looks nothing like 6 months on Path A. On Path A, you have 24 fresh starts and 0 momentum. On Path B, you have 1 continuous attempt with 24 course corrections. Those course corrections are not failures. They are the actual work. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, made this point in a 2018 interview. He said the people who succeed long-term are not the people who never fall off. They are the people who have the shortest recovery time. Path B compresses your recovery time because you stop treating every interruption as an ending. You start treating every interruption as information. And here is the compounding effect. After 6 months on Path B, you know yourself in a way Path A never allows. You know your specific triggers. You know your weekdays. You know your patterns. You know what works for you specifically, not what works for some motivational YouTuber's morning routine. That self-knowledge is worth more than any discipline hack, any productivity system, any motivational speech. It is the actual foundation. So how do you actually choose Path B in real time when you're standing at that fork? Because knowing Path B exists is not enough. Path A will always feel more comfortable in the moment. The restart dopamine hit is real. The relief of a fresh start is real. Your brain will argue for Path A every single time. Here is the mindset shift that makes Path B possible. Stop measuring success by streaks. Start measuring success by what you learned. A 30-day streak where you learn nothing about yourself is worth less than a 4-day attempt where you documented exactly why you fell off and what you will do differently next time. That documentation, that continuity, that refusal to let your past attempts disappear into guilt and shame, that is how you break the loop. You are not starting over. You are continuing. You are building a case file on yourself, and every piece of data makes the next attempt smarter, shorter, and more sustainable. The loop only has power when you keep erasing the evidence. Now here's where the rubber meets the road. Knowing all of this means nothing if you don't have a system that actually supports Path B in your real daily life. And this is where I want to be honest with you. A blank notebook does not naturally support continuity. Most journaling apps treat every entry like a separate event with no connection to what came before. What you actually need is a structure that links your attempts together, that shows you your patterns over time. That makes it impossible to ignore what you already know about yourself. I've been using an app called Reflect for the last 4 months specifically because it builds that continuity automatically. It connects your entries, surfaces recurring patterns, and when you go to start your next attempt, it doesn't let you forget what the last one taught you. It bridges the gap between who you were on attempt 7 and who you are starting attempt 8. It turns your restart cycle into a building cycle. I'll link it below. It's not magic. But it is the structural support that makes Path B the path of least resistance instead of the path of most effort. Try it for 2 weeks and watch what changes when your past attempts start working for you instead of against you. Here's where we close the loop I opened at the start. Remember I said you're stuck in a loop designed to feel like progress but never actually is? That loop is not designed by some external enemy. It is designed by the way your own brain processes discomfort and reward. The restart dopamine hit is real. The fresh start feeling is real. Your brain is doing exactly what brains do. The system isn't rigged against you. But it is running a program that was never optimized for long-term change. You can rewrite that program. Not with more willpower, not with more discipline, with continuity, with documentation, with the radical decision to stop treating your past attempts as failures and start treating them as the foundation you're building on right now. If this hit something real for you, drop the number of times you've started over in the comments below. No judgment, just data. Because you're about to be the person who stopped counting restarts and started counting lessons. Subscribe if you want more of this, and I'll see you in the next one. Disclaimer. This video is for educational and motivational purposes only. Results vary. Nothing constitutes professional psychological advice.